Alright, we're going to take a look at how to organize your template course. By now you should have found it under the MyBB tab and the My Courses Plus module, and it'll be your username.template, and over on the left is the navigation menu that we have by default. We've got the default colors, default menu items. Right now we have edit mode on so we can make some changes to it. And the only thing that's been added to the course is from the first 2 weeks. The syllabus area now has content under it, and if I click and go underneath that, I can see that I have a PDF version of my syllabus here that combines the syllabus and the course schedule. So other than that, the course is empty and I need to start organizing it for my course content. Now there's some things you can do to dress the course up if you want to. For example, up here there's a way of changing the themes for the course. So for example, if I want to scroll down here and pick a technology theme, for example, it changes my color, it changes my background here, and it kind of gives it a different look. And I can go back to the default appearance if I want to. And over here on the left, I can organize my menu items. Right now they're by default in alphabetical order. If I felt something was more important, I could just drag the order of it. Note that there's a box beside some of the content areas. That means that there is no content in those areas and they're not visible to students. I can see that by clicking edit mode off, and those two areas disappear, and I can see the syllabus here, and go back to the announcements area. I'm going to turn edit mode back on so I can see those other content areas, because I'm going to do some adding to the course now. So to get ready for the content that we're going to add in subsequent weeks, I'm going to go under the assignments link, and I have pretty much a blank slate. And instead of putting all my assignments and assessments in one big list in the assignments area, I'm going to build some structure. So this week what you need to do is go in and add some folders. So you go build content, content folder, and then the first order or folder you're going to add is called orientation. And there's not a whole lot of settings on it. By default they're available to users. You can track the number of views if you want to know who's going to look at your orientation, and I hit submit. Now one thing I can do is I can edit it, and I could add a description underneath of it, perhaps an outcome, perhaps what the orientation is about. So you click the menu beside the link and select edit, and then you can actually go in here. In this case my orientation is about Blackboard and this course, we'll say. So when I click submit, now I'll see that I have added that content there. Statistic tracking is enabled, and if I turn edit mode off, I can see that that folder is available, and when students click on the link they'll go in, and later this is where we're going to add some orientation information. So we can go back out to assignments, and then we're going to add week 1 folder, and this is where we're going to put our assignments and content that we develop later. So for now I'm just going to call this week 1. Since it's my template course, I'm going to leave the dates off of it, so in subsequent semesters if I copy it I can put the dates on it after I make the copy, and we'll say week 1 is called Foundations of Law, for example. Same thing here, we're going to track the number of views, make it available, hit submit. Now you need to create these folders this week for as many weeks of your course as you're going to offer. So you need to look at your course schedule and the calendar and see how many weeks you need to create under assignments. In my case, this is 14-week course with the 15th week being exam week. So I'm going to have my orientation folder and 15 weeks of content. My last week will be a folder for the final exam. Now, one way of doing that is just adding a content folder for each week. Another thing you can do is actually go in and copy a folder, and we want it to be in this course, and just browse to where I want it. In this case, I want it in the assignments area, and click submit. Now when you copy it, the name remains the same, and you do need to go back in and change that. So, in this case, I can change this to a new topic here. Let's call it courts and alternative dispute resolution. So there's not a lot of benefit of copying just the folder, because then you have to go back in and change everything. But one thing you can do in subsequent weeks is copy the folder as well as the way the content inside the folder is set up, and then tweak the content in subsequent weeks. So it helps to have a base week of content created if you're going to use the copy command. Anyway, so you create all your folders. That's what needs to be under the assignments area. And then the next link down is discussions. So what you want to do in the discussion area is you want to create a forum for students to ask questions, and then create weekly discussion forums that match up with your weekly assignment folders. So you just click Create Forum, and I'm just going to call mine Questions, and then look at some of these settings. I do want it available. I don't want to allow anonymous posts. I'll let folks delete posts if they want to, but only if there aren't any replies, because if they delete a post and there are replies, it could remove all those replies. I'll allow them to edit their post, tag their post, and these other things. One thing I'm going to want to do is allow subscription to the forum and see the body of the email that comes to me from the subscription. That way, if a student posts a question, I don't have to keep checking the forum. I'll get an email. And I'm not going to grade this forum. And I click Submit. So I have a forum, and I'm going to add some additional ones here. And the difference is this time, this is my week 1. And just like with the assignment folders, I may now want to add a date. But down here I might add something that describes what's happening in week 1. This is not the thread or topic in detail that you're going to discuss. You're going to put that inside the forum. This may be some instructions or just a description. I'm going to just remind them to participate. And again, I'm going through my settings. I'll allow them to delete their post, edit, tag. I'm going to allow them to subscribe down to the thread level, so if they start a thread and they want to follow it, they can. I'll let them rate each other's post if they want to. But here's the biggie. They're going to have grading in this discussion forum, and I've told them in my syllabus that it's 15 points. And I'm going to actually change this to say I want a needs grading flag in my grade book once they've posted at least 3 times, so I can look to see if they're on 3 different days here. And then I can actually add a rubric to the discussion board, so when I grade this forum, I can give them feedback on how they performed according to the rubric, and then I hit submit. Now you can do the same thing with these forums. You've got all the settings on it, you've got descriptions on it. You can actually go in and copy it, and then go in and change the name here, and I'll have it copy the entire forum, and I want it to copy to this course. That's really my only option. And then now I have a week 2 forum. And so you want to create weekly forums to line up with your assignment folders. Under the instructor area, you're going to go in and click Create Contact. Not Create Folder, just create a simple contact and add your information, including your email address, which is a required field, where your office is located, office hours if that's appropriate. You have to make the profile available. I would attach a picture because a lot of times students don't necessarily get to see if they're taking the course online. And any link that you want, and then submit that. Then down here we have the only content area that is empty right now. That's called the resources area. And I encourage you to look for a external link or a document or handout that are going to be used for the course and add it here. You can add more over time, but I might just take something simple, like go here and create a web link, and perhaps this is to the publisher's website, and I would type publisher's website and I'd post the link to that website, any description that I want. It's good to have it open in a new window, which is the default now, and then also track the number of views and submit it. So once you do that, you'll have all your content areas available, and your course will be organized so that you can start adding content in the next few weeks.